Welcome to today's podcast on an ethically sourced renewable ingredient for beauty, sponsored by Jojoba Desert. I'm Rachel Grabenhofer, Managing Editor of Cosmetics and Toiletries, and I recently had the chance to learn about a multifunctional solution that checks all the right technical and marketable boxes, Jojoba Oil. Let's listen in.
I want to thank you for joining us. Today we're speaking with Angela Medina, who is Jojoba Desert's Business Development Director for both the U.S. and Canada. And today's podcast is focused on ethically sourced and renewable ingredients for beauty, which is exactly where your product fits in, Angela. So if you don't mind, let's just start with what is your ingredient?
Yeah, sure. Pleasure to be here today. My ingredient from seed to oil is Jojoba Desert Jojoba Oil. Mm-hmm. We grow and we harvest and we produce 100% pure, natural, cold-pressed jojoba oil. Mm-hmm. And our JD Jojoba Oil is a key ingredient for formulating many products out there, but our focus has really been on clean beauty. Mm-hmm. You're going to find it in skin and hair care that is focused on health. And also, a lot of companies come to us because of the fact that we have an organic variation of it. Mm. It's vegan, it's sulfate-free, and it's also paraben-free. And it's rich in omega-9 and vitamin E. So it has anti-inflammatory properties, and it's wound healing. And it's incredible when it comes to oxidative stability, and it's grown and produced under very strict sustainable practices.
You said that it's, highly photostable. Could you mix it with other oils?
Absolutely. It has a 3-year shelf life. If you're using our golden oil, for example, it's going to have a 3-year shelf life, and the beauty of that is that it also helps other essential oils, or other oils, I should say, other plant oils, to extend their shelf life as well. I'll give you an example. We've been testing on hemp seed oil, for example, which is, we're seeing a lot of that used in different products nowadays, right? It's a very trendy ingredient, but it's also a great ingredient on the skin. But the thing with hemp seed oil, it has a tendency to not be as stable. Yeah. So when you mix it with jojoba oil, what you're going to see is that it helps to extend that lifetime. Mm-hmm. The same thing with avocado oil. When we added just 10% of jojoba oil to it, we saw that it increased the stability by 400%.
Oh, wow. And I'm just thinking about wound healing and inflammation after we've been cleansing and washing our hands so much lately. That would come in really handy. So
yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot of the sales go up for these products because of the fact that everybody's using the sanitizers, like you said, and they want something that's going to really treat their skin. And there's also people out there that'll use it as is because of the fact that it's 100% natural and it's a liquid wax. So the beauty of that on the hands is that it's not going to leave your hands greasy or oily. It penetrates deep into the skin because it's an ingredient that is actually the closest thing to our own skin sebum.
Nice. Can you talk about how does it compare with other products that are on the market and unique selling propositions?
Yeah, absolutely. So JD Jojoba oils are really top quality, and the thing that differentiates us from other companies out there and other oils is that we take a holistic approach, and we have very high standards when it comes to our process, when it comes to the farming, the cultivation, and the harvesting of the oil. So from seed to oil, you're going to get just the most discerning oil because of our practices. We're the leading supplier of jojoba oil in the market, and we leverage 30 years of experience and expertise in the cultivation of our fields and on the whole production supply chain. So that's definitely one thing that sets us apart. We're really proud of our sustainable practices in every aspect. We use smart agriculture, subsurface irrigation systems.
Give me a little more about that.
So subsurface irrigation system is a drip irrigation system to conserve water. It waters the plants at the roots, and it also fertilizes at the roots. So the beauty of that is that there's no waste of water. So again, a great sustainable practice. Yeah. It also, with the fertilizer, when you think about all the fertilizer that is used sometimes, it's not always great for the environment. So with the subsurface irrigation, you can actually fertilize at the root, and so there's no waste of fertilizer that sits on the surface By the end of this year, we'll be using 95% reclaimed water as well.
Wow.
So, again, another point of differentiation that really makes us the responsible source when it comes to getting your jojoba oil.
Mm-hmm.
And we also believe strongly in our social responsibility and sustaining our biodiversity.
Can you talk more about how you are looking at sustainability within the environment and some of the other practices of your agriculture?
Absolutely. Our farms are in southern Israel in the Negev Desert. So when you think about the desert and the harsher conditions, you want to make sure that you are looking at every source that is out there to be able to grow these crops without using too much water. I explained that we were using the drip irrigation system, but in conjunction with that, we also use solar energy. We use renewable energy just throughout our farms, and we take the water from the town around us, and we will use that water, which is recyclable, to the point that it is considered a gray water, and we use that to go ahead and water our fields. So, again, very sustainable through our holistic approach. And most recently, we were certified through EcoVadis, which is a great thing for us. And EcoVadis has some pretty discerning assessments. They come in and they will assess your practices. They'll assess your farms. They want to make sure that you are working in the most sustainable manner. And we were able to achieve that certification. They will look at how the farms are grown. If we're using pesticides, which we don't, the beauty of jojoba oil is that it needs no pesticide whatsoever. There are no insects, there are no animals that are going to be attracted to the plants. And when it comes to weeds, for example, we really don't have many of those weeds, and that's because of the fact that we are watering through drip irrigation, and because of the fact that it's watering at the root, it's not getting the soil around it wet. So very rarely are you going to see a weed within our farms. And, of course, in the organic farms, we don't spray. If there's any weeds, we pull them out. But when it comes to our conventional farms, if we have to use an herbicide, we only spray the weed. We don't spray the jojoba bush. And consequently, if you were to compare both oils and test them for herbicide, you wouldn't be able to tell our conventional oil from our organic oil. We also want to make sure that we are not emitting a lot of GHGs, right, the greenhouse gas emissions. So by growing sustainably and using the drip irrigation systems and just the way that we harvest our fields, we have a very low carbon footprint as well. We are taking that holistic approach, and that not only are our products safe for the consumer, but that they are also safe for the environment. It's a really responsible approach for clean beauty.
Yeah. Well, and I think I read, too, that you include even waste management practices for, the byproducts of the plants themselves. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So there's absolutely no waste when it comes to harvesting our jojoba. What we do is we will take the seeds and we press them for the oil, and we only sell 100% virgin jojoba oil. And then we take the seed cake, which is the remnants of the seed, and we will sell it to the animal food industry, and they actually use it as a filler for the feed. So again, nothing is wasted when it comes to produce this wonderful oil. We do a lot of recycling as well, just throughout the farm and throughout our plantation. Again, just no waste.
That's a great holistic practice. Moving from the actual then cultivating, thinking now back into how you would take the oil and use it in personal care. Can you talk about how it actually functions in cosmetics and personal care?
Yeah, absolutely. So jojoba oil is really the most versatile material out there. It works great in a moisturizer and an emollient, and it reduces wrinkles, and it's going to result in a smooth and soft, non-greasy feel, as I mentioned before. So extremely applicable in all cosmetic formulations, whether it's skin care or sun care, hair care. Also good in color cosmetics, and it's fantastic for baby care products as well. It's very safe, and it's completely non-irritating material. And I just want to back up a second because I did mention color cosmetics.
Yeah.
And JD offers many different ingredients. They're all jojoba-based. So one of the wonderful ingredients that we have is a silk-like powder. When we came up with this idea, we actually came up with it because we wanted to be able to produce an ingredient that could replace talc. And we all know what's going on with talc right now, and so we are working with different companies who are looking for that replacement. So it's fantastic if you're trying to create a powder, but also if you're formulating a color cosmetic. We've actually done prototypes where we've created blush with the silk-like powder as well as eyeshadow, and it goes on beautifully onto the skin and it wears very well. That same ingredient, I had mentioned baby products as well, and that same ingredient can go into a diaper cream because of the fact that it's absorbent and very safe for baby. It's actually, jojoba oil is one of the safest things that you can use for baby skincare. So going on to the benefits, as I mentioned before, jojoba oil is fantastic because of the fact that it's highly resistant towards oxidation. It has a 3-year shelf life in the golden. We also offer our jojoba oil in a colorless version as well as odorless. And so once it goes through that process, it is a 2-year shelf life, but still a fantastic shelf life when it comes to formulating beauty products.
Yeah.
Also mentioned earlier, it has wound healing properties. So if there's any kind of abrasion, you can use your jojoba oil, and it will help to soothe the abrasion. It also helps to stimulate collagen synthesis. So great in skincare products, especially for those products that are formulating under the anti-aging category. Also great in some products, and I mentioned that earlier, because of the fact that it's so healing to the skin, and it's an anti-inflammatory. Yeah. It's also great if you want to use it as a massage oil.
Can you talk a little bit about, if there are some potential next steps for the products that you currently have?
We have some great plans. This actually all started about 3 years ago when we launched our Rich line, and our Rich line has an array of jojoba-based ingredients. So we have taken jojoba and we've blended it, for example, with beeswax, and we've created this beautiful, luxurious butter that is just something that people love. It's on trend out there. In addition to having our beeswax butter, we also offer it in a vegan formulation, which is also fantastic. In addition, in our Rich line, I mentioned that we have the silk-like powder. In addition, we also have an aqua-based jojoba cream. And this particular formulation is fantastic as is, but you can also use it to formulate an eye cream if you wanted to add some specific ingredients, essential oils to treat the eye area. We also have our oil-based cream, which is also very luxurious, and it can be used in a lot of different ways. We offer suggested formulas to use it like in a beard balm. And my personal favorite is that we do a prototype for a makeup remover. So it's like a beautiful cleansing balm, and we mix it with essential oils in our prototype, but it's just fantastic. And as we look into the future, we're actually in the future already because of the fact that we just launched our JD hair complex, which is formulated to help reduce frizziness and also fantastic for hair breakage as well as the health of the scalp. And like I said before, we'll be expanding on our Rich line and offering more jojoba-based ingredients. And as we do studies and we do testing, we're consistently looking at the jojoba plant and trying to find ways that we can implement the plant itself in different formulations and trying to find out what the plant, what other capabilities it has within the plant itself.
Well, this has been really interesting. I appreciate you sharing all the insights about this unique ingredient and your ingredient lines, and we want to thank you for your time today and for, again, giving us some insights.
My pleasure, Rachel. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, and thanks to Jojoba Desert for sponsoring this podcast. To hear others, visit our multimedia page at www.cosmeticsandtoiletries.com/multimedia.